When it comes to native advertising, we don't just speak about one traffic source, but we are speaking about multiple traffic sources. So especially when you're a beginner, you may asking yourself, with which traffic source should I start? Should I start with one of the big major players? Should I start with a smaller one, a niche one? Or should I start with multiple traffic sources parallel? In this video, we will take care about exactly this topic. We will speak about what kind of traffic sources are out there in the native ads game and what strategy makes sense when you're in the very beginning. Hi everyone, my name is Marcel Sattler. I'm the founder of PurpleBlack, a native advertising only agency. What we're doing on a daily basis is we run profitable performance marketing campaigns for native advertising traffic sources like Taboola, Outbrain, Gemini, and many more. And I receive a lot of questions from people who want to join the native advertising game, who wants to make their first profits with native advertising. But when it comes to start, they think about what traffic source should I choose? And before we start or before we dig into this topic, let me explain first a little bit more, because the majority of online marketers, the majority of us is very familiar with general terms. So we're speaking, for example, about Google ads or about Meta ads, TikTok ads. So these terms are always dedicated to one brand, to one company in the background. But when we speak about native, it's more like a general term. It's more like online marketing. You cannot compare it with Google ads or TikTok ads, but it's more like online marketing as a general term, or email marketing, or however you want to name it. And therefore, it's important to understand, first of all, that native ads is a general term and not a specific traffic source. And when it comes to traffic sources, there is a huge amount of traffic sources for native advertising. There are big major players such as Taboola and Outbrain. There are some medium-sized ones like RevContent, MGID, and there are also smaller ones. Sometimes they're very local, sometimes they are very focused on one topic. So there are hundreds of native advertising traffic sources out there. And in the very beginning, you might ask yourself, with which traffic source should I start now? And here it's important to choose the right strategy, because if you're not choosing here the right traffic source or the right strategy, it might be a failure just because you're not using the right tactics, the right strategy here in your setup. So let me explain you a bit more about the major native advertising traffic sources, like I like to name them. And when we speak about the major native ads traffic sources, I mean the big players. The two largest players in the native advertising game are Taboola and Outbrain. I'm pretty sure you might have heard about them already in the past, or you might saw the logos on some feeds when you scroll down on the bottom of a page, like a news page, for example. Then you see somewhere this feed is a Taboola feed or this feed is an Outbrain feed. So sooner or later you got in touch with it. And with one of these traffic sources, you are reaching hundreds of million internet users every day. So it's a huge potential. These are the two largest native advertising traffic sources out there. Long story short, you're good to go if you start with one of these. You don't have to start with 3, you don't have to start with 2. It's fair enough to start with one of the big major native advertising traffic sources like Taboola or Outbrain. The first steps, the first goal should be start a profitable native advertising channel, get a proof of content that it's working, and afterwards you can scale through multiple channels. However, native ads are working a bit differently than other channels you might know already. So you're able to scale with one of these channels like Taboola and Outbrain campaigns up to 30, 40, 50K per day profitably. So it's not the case that you just can spend like 5K and then you have to switch to another traffic source or so. That's definitely not the case. However, until the moment you spend 30, 40K, you're good to go with just one traffic source in the native advertising game. And after you spend like 45, 50K per day, you might consider to start with another traffic source in parallel. Of course, there are some exclusions about this. We also sometimes start with a few clients differently because it's their strategy, because they have something like a brand form strategy, so they want to reach more people in a shorter period of time. However, best practice is to start with one traffic source, and here you're good to go if you start with one of the big native advertising traffic sources like Taboola or Outbrain. Afterwards, when you started with them, you might consider also start with some smaller native advertising traffic sources, some more niche ones. So in the majority of cases, you're good to go with honestly just one traffic source. Here it depends a bit on the country, on the topic you have. So in the very beginning, we're usually deciding in cooperation with the client if we want to start with Taboola or Outbrain. This depends a bit on the topic, like is it e-commerce, is it lead gen, depends also on the geo, is it a tier 1 country, is it US, is it Germany, is it UK, and this also depends on multiple other factors like what's the goal here, what's the main goal, what's the CPA goal, etc. So there are many points which we put into our consideration. But long story short, as mentioned already, don't overthink the process here. We're doing it because we have way more insights and we try to squeeze out the maximum performance for our clients. You don't have to care about this in the very beginning. So your main goal should be to get profitable on one of these traffic sources. Doesn't matter if it's Outbrain or Taboola. But of course, there are also some very niche traffic sources, and these you can consider if you have like a local topic. So for example, if you want to run kind of local native ads in such countries where Taboola and Outbrain is not that strong, for example, Eastern Europe, you might consider to start with some more niche traffic sources, which is completely fine because native ad traffic sources like Taboola and Outbrain, they are very strong in tier 1, tier 2 countries, but of course they have a bit of lack of other countries like Eastern European countries, etc. So there you might consider to start with another traffic source. Also important to understand is that every native advertising traffic source is a bit different. So I know everything is native ads, but however, you're unable just to copy and paste everything blindly. So there are also between Taboola and Outbrain different strategies you can use. By the way, if you're interested in a very detailed hands-on technique, what's the difference between Taboola and Outbrain in the campaign handling, write it down in the comments and maybe I will create a video about this, like about the differences, how you can handle every campaign on the different traffic sources and how to squeeze out the maximum performance per each traffic source. Sometimes people are also asking me if it makes sense to start with a smaller traffic source in the very beginning, like MGID or RevContent. Long story short, my answer is no, because you reach way more people with Taboola and Outbrain, and also the algorithms are smarter on these big traffic sources than on smaller ones. Also in my other videos, by the way, I say that the algorithms of native advertising traffic sources are not that smart, by far not that smart, like for example Meta or like TikTok or like Google. However, there are algorithms in the background, and the algorithms are the smartest one on the big traffic sources like Taboola and Outbrain. So therefore, it's way easier to start on these platforms in order to get profitable very fast. If you want to start now with native ads, you have to consider Taboola, Outbrain as a general conclusion here, and afterwards you can scale on a second or also third traffic source. I hope you liked that video. If so, I would extremely appreciate if you give me a thumbs up, and of course when you subscribe to my channel and activate the bell to receive updates when I upload a new video about native ads here on YouTube. Have a good one. See you next time.